Hello and welcome to this week's GG Weekend Watch, kindly sponsored by Bet.UK, where we have a big show for you this week because it is the 2023 Derby. And Andrew Vance and I are going to be looking at all 8 races on Epsom's billing on Saturday. Of course, the card's going to have a bit of a different look to it this week because of the FA Cup final, but well done to everyone for rearranging the races around that to best suit our sport as well as everything else. It's just one of those things, so we'll just get on with it and we will crack on with the racing. And I'm delighted to have Andrew back from his holiday. Don't have Daryl Carter this week, but hopefully he will be back with us then as of next week. And we begin with the Group 3 Diamond Stakes for 3 years and over a mile and a half of furlong at 12.50. 6 declared runners here, Andrew. As I say, great to have you back. Hope you had a nice time away. Please find us this winner.
Yeah, nice to be back. Thank you, Kate. Good to see you again. Early start. Set your alarm clocks. 12.50 for the World Pool card at Epsom, and I was happy to take on Highland Avenue. I had a good look at this race at the 5-day stage, and he was front running third to his stablemate Adayar, because Adayar, previous Derby winner in the Gordon Stakes at Newmarket last time out. That run came on soft ground. I thought he'd be vulnerable on the likely quicker going. The trouble is, it's Epsom. They love turning the taps on. It's officially good watered, so that could mean anything. We're in Kirkland Tellwright territory, almost here, aren't we? It could be, if it dries out to good to firm, or they could be kicking the top off it and it will look like good to soft sloppy. So who knows? But I'll take a chance that Highland Avenue is going to find conditions quicker than preferred. It's a shame that Almubir and Reach for the Moon aren't running here, because I'd have fancied taking on that pair as well. But the 2 I bet anti-post when there were 8 runners in 3 places on offer were Marie's Diamond, who I thought could go well from the front if getting a soft lead, and Escobar. Escobar was 4th at 18-1 in this last year, and it's come out well on the draw as well in stall 3, even though there's only 6 runners. Stalls 1, 2, and 3 have dominated in this event over the years. So I'll split stakes this time. Marie's Diamond stall 1, I can see 20-1, and Escobar stall 3, 8-1.
I should have had a bet in this first race that Marie's Diamond was going to be at least one of your main plays then, but splitting stakes between Escobar 8-1 and 20-1 the outsider of the field about Marie's Diamond.
She's got a really good record at this time of year. You look at these, her last 6 wins: June, July, June, July. So a touch of the Mr. Wagyu is about a horse we'll come back to later, no doubt. And she's a small field horse as well as a front runner, and to finish 2nd of 13, beat a neck at York last time. When the winner and the 3rd came from midfield, I thought that was a decent enough effort. So I think she'll go well here.
And for the amount of times that you sided with Marie's Diamond, you're still calling him a her though. So.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Don't you worry. You are definitely not the first to have done that.
Old habits die hard.
You definitely weren't on the first, and you certainly won't be the last. Every single person, I think, at some point has called Marie's Diamond a mare. But yeah,
you mean all the other idiot men you work with? Yeah.
Well, essentially, yeah. I don't want to generalize, but when you work in this industry as a woman, you do come across a few. No, not at all. Of course not. Right, we will move on.
A totally different podcaster.
Yeah, exactly. An entirely different one completely. But we will move on to the big one on that note because, well, I was going to say this one is for the boys, but I guess technically it's just not for the geldings. The Betfred Derby, the Group 1 Derby for the 3-year-olds over a mile 4, and the second race on the card. So as I say, the billing having a very different look to it this time around. August Rodin has found himself back at the head of the market as the 3-1 market leader from Military Order at 9-2. Passenger, who's been supplemented for this at 11-2, 13-2 about the remainder. So Andrew, a wide open derby. Who are you siding with?
Well, you know me and big prices in these sort of races. I've stepped out Who Ya Mile, runner up at 150-1 last year, and I've sort of gone around through full circle in this. I mean, August Rodin, he ran too bad to be true in the 2000 Guineas, but by the same token, even if you forgive that run on account of the ground, do you want to be backing him at 3-1? I say no. Maybe he's. I know he went out to about 60s, I think, didn't he, after the Guineas, and then came back in. But I can't back him at that sort of price. Military Order, I do like. Charlie Appleby's, of course, got a good recent record in this race. And he impressed me when winning at Lingfield in the Derby trial when it was switched to the poly track, because he challenged on the inside of the track when you definitely didn't want to be taking that route. Most horses were winning out wide. Passenger was really unlucky, wasn't he, in the Dante? When I managed to get on the receiving end of both Richard Kingscote shockers that day. The one who was the handicapper who was making his debut for a new yard, it was Alice Haynes one, Astro something or other.
Yeah,
I mean, crikey, how he's managed to do that twice, I don't know. I mean, at the moment he could find trouble in a 2-horse race. So I mean, Passenger supplemented a cost of about 85 grand. I think he's going to go extremely well. You look at Sir Michael Stout's horses who ran in the Dante, certainly those who ran well in the Dante, they've got an excellent record in the Derby. Desert Crown included last year. So Passenger at 11-2. I'd make Passenger favourite if I was doing the tissue for this race, or joint favourite with Military Order. So there's a bit of juice in that 11-2, 6-1, whatever he is. Arrest, after he won impressively at Chester, his trainers did say that he enjoyed the ground and he wouldn't necessarily be happy if it was if it was quicker at Epsom. But I still think he's got a squeak, but it's well covered in its price. Sprewell's a horse I like. He's a Churchill, because you came up with the system about Churchill's not being very good on the racecourse debut. So I wrote him up after that debut fourth at Gowran Park when he was a 16-1 shot. He came from off the pace. The winner, the second, the third were all on the front end. He's run second in the maiden next time and then won 2 from 2 this season. Both came on deep ground though, so how he's going to cope with the ground I don't know, but certainly wouldn't put you off Sprewell. Dubai Mile as well, because he beat Arrest in the Grand Criterium de Saint-Cloud, whatever they call it, last back end. Found completely outpaced in the 2000 guineas, found the trip too short. So I think Dubai Mile's going to run a good race here. White Birch, I'm not keen on from stall 2. I don't think he'll confirm Dante form with Passenger. An Artistic Star was semi-interesting until you read those trainer quotes that he was going to run in the Lingfield Derby trial. That was taken away from him. So he ran at Sandown. That was just 2.5 weeks ago. And Rafe Beckett said it might come too soon. And they were talking about sort of targets in sort of July time for him. But going through all those, I mean, if you gave me a free tenner on one of them, I'd put it on Passenger. But I've looked at the outsiders, as I always do, and I'm looking at Adelaide River. Now you go back to that St. Cloud race last back end when he took on Dubai Mile and Arrest. They finished 1, 2, 3. Dubai Mile winning, Arrest finishing second, Adelaide River third. Now they were all sort of fairly similar prices, so 5-1, 9-4, 7-2. Not exactly a million miles between them. And then he's found Arrest too good at Chester, beating 6.5 lengths. But that was on soft ground. The French race was on officially heavy going. And you look at his sire, Australia, Derby winner, of course. He never raced on anything worse than good. His dam seems to be best on fast ground as well. So he's never had it. He won on poly track, and then since then he's raced on yielding or softer growing, usually on very deep ground. So I thought there was a case to be made for Adelaide River improving on a faster surface for the first time on turf. Now, bear in mind that his form ties in with horses are priced at much shorter odds. It's 6-1 Arrest, 16-1 Dubai Mile, 100-1 each way. Adelaide River will do for me.
Okay, my goodness me, 100-1, the outsider of the field, Adelaide River on the quicker ground to see him to a better effect. And he is another one of those Aidan O'Brien horses that has got the wide draw as well, which we've become accustomed to wanting to preferably side with in the Derby. Now, I totally agree where it is completely wide open. August Rodin, I really want to take on at the head of the market. Expected him to go back to find himself as favourite, but to come back from blowing out that badly, of course he might well be able to, but not at that price for me anyway. So I'm siding with a couple against those at the head of the market, and the first one of those is the Foxes, who I still think is being underestimated here, easily overlooked. So I'll be playing him as well as the aforementioned Dubai Mile. But the Foxes firstly, because he's just so likable. He's so tough. And he looks as though he has the balance and the temperament to cope with everything that the Derby throws at these horses. And yes, I have the concerns that everyone else does about him staying the trip. But being closely related to Bangkok, who obviously didn't get the Derby trip, but his dam got a mile 4. His brother Perrotin got a mile 6, so he's worth chancing, I thought, to get the trip. And also Dubai Mile, who's a bigger price again than at 16-1, where, as you say, he did beat the reopposing arrest in the Group 1 Criterium de Saint-Cloud on his final 2-year-old start before just getting caught out for a change of gears in the 2000 Guineas, where the mile trip just looked a bit too sharp for him. So up in trip, Group 1 winner, intertwining form with more fancied horses, leads me to want to side with Dubai Mile at 16-1. So there's a couple for me in what is a wide open contest. Now we have another group contest in the form of the Group 3 Princess Elizabeth Stakes, 4 fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and over a mile and half a furlong at 2:10. Another 6 declared here, Andrew. So how are you playing this one?
I'm taking on the favourite, Prosperous Voyage. Now, after she won the Falmouth Stakes from Inspiral, there's a lot of people blaming, Frankie Dettori for getting chin that day. But what's I said at the time, even though it was only 5 runners, it was a big advantage to race wide, closer to the stand-side rail as possible. And Prosperous Voyage was in the right part of the track. Inspiral wasn't. The runner-up as a third home, Sun Dream was also well drawn, and I did that pair in the reverse forecast, and so unfortunately the favourite, 7-1 on favourite, split the pair of them and stopped for massive payday. But since then, Prosperous Forge has been beaten on 3 occasions, and although those have been good races, you've got to be disappointed with that effort last time out, even accounting for the soft ground. And I think she's still priced up on that flattered Falmouth Stakes win, and 7-4 is too short. Potapova, it's good to see her back on track, because after she pulled up at Goodwood on a seasonal debut, I was worried that there was going to be sort of career-threatening injury, for example, but it was an irregular heartbeat. She's back 4 weeks later. She goes well when fresh. First or second runner of the year. She was second to the same owner's shorter price favourite in this race last year, so I think it's got a good squeak. Roman Mist ran well in this race last year when trained by Tom Ward, and was a winner on her debut for Archie Watson, so she'll go well from the front. Astral Bow, I love. I'm a real fan of this horse, but deep ground seems to be key, and all her wins have come on straight tracks. I'm not sure that Epsom's going to suit. I was looking at probably a reverse forecast around Potapova, Roman Mist. If you want to pin me down to one, it'll be Potapova for the stout yard.
Okay, 3-1 then for Ryan Moore and Sir Michael Stout, but between those two, taking on Prosperous Voyage, no room for sentiment, no room for you harking back to that brilliant call there in the Falmouth Stakes all the back along. We've dismissed Prosperous Voyage this time around.
So quick mention for Shirar as well, who got stuck in the mud at Newmarket, and coming back in trip and on better ground will suit that one.
Yes, okay, 10-1 then about her. She has actually just been clicked in as well. Shirar on the better ground for the Gosdens. Right, so now we get the speedsters, and we have the 3-year-old dash up next. Not to be confused with the dash itself, which follows this race, but still over the flying 5, 0-90 handicap, but just for the 3-year-olds at 2:45. So, Andrew, who is the fastest of the fast?
The first of the first, not me, that's for sure. But yeah, this
not
is
me mentally.
This is an interesting one. It's the first 3-year-old dash, and we've got 14 runners. The draw, again, it's traditionally you want to be drawn high near to the stand-side rail at Epsom, but I'll throw some stats at you later on that's going to quite surprise you about how well low draws do in the regular dash. And so I'm going to go left field and go with left field looking from behind the stalls, and go with Can to Can for Adrian Nichols. Yard's been in really good form, and this one just blasted off in the first time blinkers, made all at 20-1 at Newcastle last time out, won by 5 lengths. And similar tactics here. I could see Can to Can running a big race. I think she might be hard to pass, get to the lead. She might end up coming towards the stand side rail. She might stay more towards the centre. But I'll take her to go well from the front here.
Okay, from stall 2 as well. That's making me nervous for your draw angles then for the dash itself. But 8-1 about Can to Can, Adrian Nichols. The Capel thought it's been a brilliant week for Adrian Nichols. Both of his children winning this week as well. His son on his first ride, and Mia Nichols yesterday at Hamilton, wasn't it? So Yeah, so his progeny are doing well. Hopefully that can translate to the horses that he trains as well. Now, as we say, away from the classics and the group ones, one race that definitely captures everyone's imagination is the Dash for Heritage Handicap over the Flying Five, downhill until the last 100 yards. And it is reputed to be the fastest of its kind in the world. So, Andrew, for the 3-year-olds and over in the Dash itself, who's the fastest of the fast this time?
Yeah, just bet them all. This is a bit like the Cheltenham Festival. You bet every runner and make a profit. Since 2010, you made £25.50 to a £1 stake in SP. A Betfair SP is £131.51. Just betting every runner in this race. That's sort of 12 renewals. Now, because we talked about high draws near that standside rail, that can be a big advantage, but at times it can be a bit of a hindrance because they tend to get in each other's way. And if you're waiting for room against that rail, you can get all sorts of trouble. And we saw Ornate, of course, who was once you accounted for the non-runner, drawn in stall 1 of 19 when taking this race in 2019, blasted off from that low draw and never saw another horse, winning at 33 to 1. Now, the first 4 last year were drawn 10, 2, 4, and 9 of 20. So we're all the sort of far side of that split in the stalls. And, a low draw can guarantee a clear passage. And again, just betting stalls 1 and 2 blindly in the last 10 renewals, you'd have hit a place, you'd found 4 winners and hit a place 7 years out of 10. When I bet Mountain Peak in this race last year from stall 2 got beaten ahead of 50 to 1. It was one of the few I bet in the race. So it's interesting. Mountain Peak's entered again. I think it's done better on the draw. If you're going with the high draw theory from stall 13, Tom Marquand on board it. Ed Walker's yard going well at the moment. Wouldn't put you off that one at 16 to 1. Recon Mission has sort of won twice and finished second, I think, from 6 runs here. All those good runs came in small fields, but did run a good race in the Dash, finishing 6th a few years ago behind Mockatil when drawn in single figures. So I thought Recon Mission from stall 1 wouldn't be out of it. The market will probably overreact to that draw. But when Recon Mission did finish 6th here, there was a horse in 5th who did best of those drawn low. That's Lord Ridderford for the John Quinn yard, who's come out pretty well on the draw front in stall 15. Now, Lord Ridderford's got a good record on sort of undulating turf tracks. He's won twice at Goodwood, and he's got form at Pontefract as well. So you go back to the 2021 running of this race. So previous renewals have often been a good guide to future ones. You had Mockatil, stall 13, only spoofing 20. Next 2 drawn 17 and 18. Best of the low draws in 5th place off a mark of 90 at 12 to 1 was Lord Ridderford for the John Quinn yard. Came out of stall 5 that day, ducked to the right, to try and get, whether that was deliberate or whether that was just sort of on leaving the stall to get nearer the rail. Met trouble in running and only got beaten 2 3/4 lengths. It's £3 lower this time around. Better, drawn closer to the rail this time at least anyway, in stall 15. And Jason Hart isn't on. I assume he can't do 8 stone 6. I think 8'10" is the lowest he's ever ridden this horse at. So Marco Ghiani's on board. He's 28 to 1. So yeah, I'll bet a few as I normally do. But yeah, Lord Ridderford will be the main one, and I'll probably throw a few quid at Mountain Peak and Recon Mission as well.
Yeah, and Recon Mission from stall 1 there, but Lord Ridderford from stall 15 being the main play. 28 to 1 still though for that lovable old grey. So a good way to play it. Now that's why I was nervous, because as soon as you said about the low draws, I did hark back to last year. And like you say, a 50 to 1 second place by a head finisher from the low draws. And I did sort of think, oh no, have I approached this completely wrong again then this year? But I'm siding with a horse that actually, as I look back now, the market's reassessed itself and has put him at the head of the market, and that is Live in the Moment. Now the 17 to 2 market leader has taken over from Clarendon House, those two switching in the betting. He was only about 3rd favourite when I first looked at this. But I've sided with the high draw angle, and the horse that's drawn highest of all, Live in the Moment, in stall 20. And I'm hoping that he can basically just utilise that blast from the front, get the rail, won't get involved in any scrimmaging, and will just keep on rolling. He's only had the 2 starts for Alice Haynes, but he just improved significantly upon his stable debut to then finish second over 6 furlongs at Doncaster last time out. So likely triumphal, and I think that this mark remains feasible for him to overcome. For all that, I am wary of Sampras 7 in here at 20-1 for perhaps another small stakes each way play then, because I'm finding it difficult to ignore her at that current price. But we do have another handicap up next in the form of the Leicester Picket handicap, a 0 to 100 contest for 3-year-olds over 10 furlongs at 3.55. Looks wide open again, where it is 5-1 the field. Fox Journey heading the way. So Andrew, who wins it?
Yeah, good question. There's been, looking at the last 10 years, not 9 renewals because of COVID. We've had no winning favourites, a 28-1 winner, a couple of 25-1 winners. It's a very, very tricky race. Shame Sylvester Kirk's Chindwin, which was entered at the 5-day stage, isn't in because he's got a great record in this race. And Andrew Balding has taken 3 of the last 5 renewals. And he relies on Cadavar. So that's the one I was looking at here, coming out of stall 13. So a course winner, won by almost 10 lengths over the extended mile here on the penultimate start. I thought it should pay to forgive that subsequent Newmarket defeat. And though he's yet to race on ground quicker than good to soft, I thought it was a good, Epsom well watered, might be fine for him. So I was just going to go. He's got William Buick on board. He's a double figure price, around about 12-1. It's a race I wasn't particularly confident about, but it might be worth just going with trainer trends and seeing if Andrew Balding can win it for the 4th time in recent years.
Yeah, Andrew Balding then again teaming up with William Buick, though, with Cadavar 12-1 about that horse in what is a race that does look pretty tricky to have a definite opinion on. And I'm pleased that you said about a few 25-1 winners of this race, because my horse is priced up at 25-1, and that's Blue Universe for Charlie Johnston and for Holly Doyle. Lightly raced colt, just with 6 starts to his name. He's done little wrong in those either, where he won his 2nd handicap start on his seasonal debut before running a similar race off of a £5 higher mark when returned to the turf at Sandown. And he was comfortably beaten by a horse that is admittedly entered in the Irish Derby, if not now. So I don't think that was much of a disgrace whatsoever, even though it was a small runner race. I still think the form looked pretty solid to be upholding going forwards. And Blue Universe evidently remains very unexposed on grass. So Blue Universe at 25-1. For me in that 3.55. Now we have another open handicap up next. This time it's the Rio Ferdinand Foundation Northern Dancer Handicap, a 0 to 105 handicap for 4-year-olds and over a mile, 4 at 4.30. Scampy heads away for Race Share, who are certainly an owner group to watch out for going forward. So they really do know their stuff. But Andrew, how are you playing this one?
Yeah, this is a good race. It's a shame there's no Midnight Legacy this year for Alan King, who's
I know.
second time last year.
Yeah.
But second to him last year, beating a nose, was 25-1 shot Halifon, trained by Ian Williams. Now he's finished well beaten in both starts this season, but I see there's been there was a little bit of a nibble for him at one stage. I think he was 20s into 12s, back out of 14s or 16s now. So I thought Halifon could go well, granted a decent gallop. But the one I really like is Max Mayhem for inform Kevin Philippard de Foy. Now he was entered in the 10 furlong handicap here on Friday, but they've gone with this one. And first run for the yard after leaving Joseph O'Brien was at Kempton last time out. He's gone off at 15-2, and he's really impressed with the way he's travelled. And although he's only won by half a length, the Racing Post described him as always doing enough. And you look at that win over mile 3; it was very snug indeed. Now Alan King's HMS president, runner up at 28-1 that day. He came out and won since, and there's been a few others further down the field in that race who've run well in defeat as well, like Savvy Victory. So I thought Max Mayhem had a lot more up his sleeve. He's gone up £4 for that. I thought it could have been worse than that. He's a son of New Bay, whose progeny go extremely well on the back of the top 3 effort. And I thought Max Mayhem coming for this race rather than the 10 furlong one was the way to go. So yeah, he'd be the best bet in this over Halifon.
13-2 then Max Mayhem for the informed Kevin Philippart de Foy over Halifon. 16-1 then for Ian Williams' runner to go better than he did in the race last year. Now, I was being very unoriginal, to be honest, Andrew, so I'm pleased that you've chucked in us some bigger price options, because I was between the two of the top three in the betting here, Scampy and Sea King. But for the purposes of this show, I will side with the margin.
You've just gone for a chip shop forecast there.
I have, yeah. Just love my seafood, especially when it's deep fried. My absolute favorite, yeah, Sea King Scampy. Oh, and just to be fair, that wouldn't be the worst way to play this, to be honest. I might actually do that. Yeah, keep that on side. But for the purposes of this, and keeping names aside, I will side with Sea King here, though. He just posted a solid reappearance at Kenton last time out when he was well backed, but the winner, Kemhan, got the run of the race, with Sea King conceding first run. Therefore, he's able to run off with the same mark here, gets first time cheap pieces as well, which might just be enough to get his head back in front again. So tricky for me, that one. I will be playing the both of them now. And our final scheduled race is a 0 to 105 handicap for 4-year-olds and over 6 furlongs at 505. Now, this one, this really is wide open. 5 to 1 the field again, Probe heading the way. So, Andrew, nice and easy for you to sign us off with.
Well, happy Mr. Wagyu Day is what I
say. Woohoo! Back to sponsor the show again.
Yeah, we're recording this on the 1st of June. It's officially Mr. Wagyu Day, although he's not running to the 3rd. And I napped him for this last year, and he's got a fantastic record. As soon as summer comes around, 30 runs in June and July, 15 wins. The 15 defeats, 11 times he finished 2nd, 3rd or 4th. A couple of more times he finished 6th in races like the Woking, where some bookmakers are paying sort of 6, 7 places. And so backing him each way in June or July has been a route to profit. He's an 8-year-old now, but you look at the way he's been campaigned this year, you go back and watch the videos of those first couple of runs, you think, yeah, this is typical. He's just being brought along slowly. Last time out, big eye catch of 40 to 1 in a field of 20 to 1 at York. He's finished 7th, beaten 3 lengths. That's signaled an imminent return to winning ways. You chuck out his June and July runs. He's had 43 starts. He's lost every single one. Every year I get messages from people on Twitter and Mr. Wagyu, I'll bet him last time. Should I back him? I'll just say, what date is it? Just like, look at your calendar. It's the 9th of September. Just don't it. Or it's the 20th. It's the 20th of May. Just for goodness sake, just wait until the 1st of June there. And so there you go. That's my mum or my dad I was talking to. But yeah. He's 6 to 1. Back him each way. Jason Hart on board, and I mean, you've got Probe, who's been very, very progressive since joining Jenny Candlish. 2 wins in the 2nd at Newmarket. The win at Wolverhampton was very impressive in a very fast time. I do fear Probe, but I think we'll be suited by returning to a left-handed track. Many a star goes for this race again, despite only finishing 9th in it last year when the 100 to 30 favourite. So it's possibility that he could end up being well back. So it might not be a bad trade if that's your thing. But yeah, I just think back Mr. Wagyu each way, and you'll be you're sure to be thereabouts. Famous last words.
Yeah, well, the famous last words are when you say that you fear a Probe. But anyway, Mr. Wagyu, though, for the main play for this to win this race again off of the £2 higher mark Danny did last year. Happy Mr. Wagyu Day, because it is the 1st of June. So enjoy and side with our favourite horse who pretty much sponsors this show by now. Now, Andrew, I'll go back to you, please, because that's all of our Epsom action done. For anything from anywhere else?
No, in a word, with all those races at Epsom, I've not really had a great chance to have a look at anything else. So I've been concentrating on the Derby card.
Yeah, fair enough. And it is all on you this week, so that is completely fair. Okay, then, not to catch you off guard or by surprise, but I will come to you for your nap. We haven't got Daryl to buy you some time either this time around, so your nap, please. Yeah,
it won't surprise you to know that I'm going to nap Mr. Wagyu in the 505 at Epsom.
Oh, wonderful. Mr. Wagyu there in Epsom's final race. And I don't really know what to do. So I'm going to go live in the moment in the 320 in the Dash handicap. Right. That is everything from us on this week's show. There was an awful lot of races to cover from Epsom. So thank you so much to you, Andrew, for all of your hard work as per usual. Thank you to our sponsors, Bet.UK. Thank you to you for watching. Best of luck with your bets this weekend. I will speak to you again next week.